The world does not work the way you think it does. Not because you are naive, not because you don't think enough, but because the way we learned to understand reality was built to give us stability, not to show us how things really are. From a very early age, we absorb a silent idea that the world has a clear order, that things happen for fair reasons, that there is a direct relationship between what we do and what we receive. We are told that if you work hard, you succeed. That if you are good, things will go well for you. That if you follow the right path, you will arrive at a safe place. And for a while, that story seems to work, until it doesn't. Then something breaks. You see people who gave everything and still lost everything. You see others who harm, lie, or manipulate and still prosper. You see that talent is not always recognized, that truth does not always win, that justice does not always arrive. And then an uncomfortable question appears. What is failing? Most of the time, the answer that arises is cruel. Me. We believe that if the world did not respond the way we expected, it is because we didn't do enough, we weren't enough, or we didn't understand the rules properly. But what if that's not the problem? What if the world never worked the way we were told it did? The world is not a moral structure. It is not a machine that rewards effort, nor a judge that punishes mistakes. It does not operate under human concepts like merit, guilt, or reward. The world is a process in constant motion, a vast network of causes, conditions, accidents, and consequences interacting without asking permission and without consulting our expectations. Nothing happens in isolation. Nothing happens for a single reason. Every event is the result of thousands of factors that we rarely see in full. But the mind needs to simplify. It needs to believe it understands. It needs to feel in control. That is why we create explanations, narratives, stories that allow us to sleep at night. We call failure what didn't go the way we wanted. We call destiny what we cannot explain. We call personal error what was actually a convergence of forces far greater than us. The world is not reacting to your decisions as if it were evaluating your worth. It is not sending you coded messages. It is not confirming whether you are on the right path. That is a human projection. Reality has no personal intention toward you, even though what happens may affect you deeply. And here appears one of the greatest sources of suffering, believing that life should behave according to our ideas of how it should be. When it doesn't, we resist. We argue with reality. We deny what is already in front of us. We say, this shouldn't have happened. This isn't fair. This ruined everything. But the world does not negotiate. It does not stop to adjust itself to our narrative, not because it is hostile, but because it does not operate under the logic of should. It operates through change. Nothing remains fixed. Nothing guarantees continuity. Nothing promises stability. That is not a flaw in the system. It is the system. The problem is not change. It is the expectation of permanence. We cling to ideas, people, roles, identities. We believe that if something was once, it should continue to be. But life does not repeat itself. It transforms. And when we try to freeze what is alive, we suffer. Not because life is cruel, but because we are fighting its nature. The mind seeks certainty. Reality offers movement. That clash generates anxiety. We want guarantees before acting. We want security before moving forward. We want to understand before living. But life does not work that way. It never has. We always move forward without guarantees. We always decide without seeing the full map. We always act in the middle of uncertainty. We just don't like to admit it. We prefer to believe we control more than we actually do, that we understand more than we really understand. And when something collapses, when a relationship ends, when a project fails, when an identity breaks, we don't just lose that. We lose the story we built around it, the future we imagined, the version of ourselves we believed we were. And that hurts. But not because the world failed. Because the idea we had of the world can no longer hold. That collapse can be lived as a tragedy or as a revelation. The world does not work the way you think because it is not designed to fulfill human expectations. It is in constant reconfiguration. And you are not separate from that. You are part of it. You are not a spectator watching chaos unfold. You are a node within the process. That means you do not have absolute control, but you do have participation. And there is a profound difference. When you understand that you don't control outcomes, but you do control how you respond, something changes deeply. You stop living in defense mode. You stop interpreting every event as a personal judgment. Mistakes stop being a sentence. Pain stops being a punishment. Uncertainty stops being a constant threat. They become information. The world does not owe you coherence. Life does not owe you stability. But it offers you experience, contact, reality. And that, even when it is uncomfortable, is true. Maturity is not understanding everything. It is learning to remain when you understand nothing. Accepting that you do not know is a profound form of intelligence. The world does not work the way you think. It works the way it works. And when you stop demanding that it be something else, when you let go of the idea that it should adapt to you, something unexpected appears. Space. Space to respond instead of react. Space to observe instead of judge. Space to live without being in constant war with what is. Not with resignation, but with clarity. Not with passivity, but with presence. Because life does not need to be controlled in order to be lived. It only needs to be found. Here, now.